Hello and welcome, everybody. Jared Brader here with Odd Experts. Excited to have you join us today. Make the last day of the year the most impactful for you. Give you about 45 minutes of great content, and then have some question and answer time. So today's topic is the 5 ways practice owners sabotage their growth. And this comes from the last 10 years and even things that I've done in my own practice to sabotage my own growth. So I've been there with you, and it's going to be things that I've learned and seen with both coaching clients across the country and in my own practices. So excited to share the topic today. I did bring an invite. Dr. Darrow is with us today, and I do have Morgan Hutchings, who's my chief strategist, with us today. Many of you who have read weekend faxes or weekly faxes, weekend updates, my book, Dr. Darrow's book, whatever interaction you've had with Odd Experts in the past, whether it's just as one of the 1,100 plus readers of our content or one of our private coaching clients, and I know there's a few of you on here today. Whatever level of interaction you've had with us in the past, these topics do apply. It will be great content, and I'm ready to get started and share that with you. I did want to welcome those that are new to the group or have only had a chance to read content and never work with Morgan or myself or Keith in the past. It is a very busy time of year. It's been a rough year for some. It's been very successful for others in our coaching group. So thank you all for being here and taking that time. I did want to share a little bit of my story. I don't want to go too far into the past for you, but about 10 years ago, I took my grandmother into a hearing practice. It was a hearing instrument specialist in St. George. And coming out of MBA school and knowing about strategic marketing, it was just an awful experience for me, let alone for, I think at the time, a 78-year-old, 77-year-old grandmother. So my entire entry into the profession started with the patient experience and what it must be like for myself and my grandmother to walk into a practice. And before I go too deep into all of the things I saw wrong that day, I really wanted to share what inspired me was that so no other grandmother would have to experience being shocked at the value of treatment on day one. And from that point forward, I actually started working with that hearing care practice at the front desk, answering telephones, greeting patients, and built from the ground up the world's first, the profession's first, fully automated marketing patient journey. And so for the last 10 years, every interaction point, every communication point was built in a way so that every grandmother like mine would have the opportunity to experience treatment the same way. And when I had the chance to present in front of, 1,500 people at a manufacturer boot camp years ago, I think that was about the same time I met Dr. Darrow. And then I merged the science and the neuroplasticity and the neuroscience and the audiology into that marketing program. That marketing program is still in existence. It's deployed by practices all over the country, including content that was designed and is now being used in other countries. So a little bit of background, we have about 1,100 readers, followers, and clients around the world in last check about 9 countries. I know the content is being used for sure in Australia, and those presentations and my strategies have been used in places like Spain and Denmark. I've had conversations, around the world and with practice owners, both near and far. So I pride myself in the marketing side of it, but it really became the focus when I met Keith and we had the opportunity to bring the science and the expertise and our authority, your authority as doctors and practice owners to the forefront. A few years later, we met Morgan and he really, took our strategy and put that communication and people skills and strategy into development so that we could build better teams, better systems, and be able to run a better practice. And that's my hope for you today, is to share that journey, share my failures. And you've probably heard the quote before, that the master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. And I do want everybody to know that I've been near bankruptcy. I've been short on cash. I've been, threatened to be sued by the Department of Licensing. I've been, down in the dumps. I've had up and down years too. And so I know what that journey's like, to start at $400,000 a year practice and take it to 10 million plus. I know what it's like to have our group of clients treating my marketing, resulting in treatments of over $175 million. So I'm there with you. I'm in the trenches. We've all been there. And that's why I believe my passion and my commitment is to all of you, to share that journey and to help you have the legacy that you want, to help you have the practice you want. And so I'm just glad you're all here today. And I mean, Keith, if you want to throw in your why, I think that would be a great opportunity.
Hey, everybody. Jared, thank you for inviting me here. Um, yeah, I mean, listen, Jared told the story pretty well. I feel like um, we had the dynamic duo for a little while where we had a master of marketing combined with, somebody who really has passion and drive. I wake up every day trying to come up with new ways to help more of the 42 million people to treat their significant medical condition. And then, without even sort of looking for it, we turned into the terrific trio by adding Morgan, who has brought great insight and helped us to understand, both Jared and Keith, how to better work with humans. I think both of our wives tell us that we're not that great with people, which we love being around people and we love the work we do. But Morgan has brought a greater sense of how to communicate with others and how to understand how everybody operates. And so I'm honored to be here. And I think that these 5 points that we're going to talk about tonight are really beneficial for practices at any stage, whether you are close to retiring, whether you're in the middle of your career, you just opened a practice, that there are great tools here tonight for everybody. So thanks for having me on here.
Yes, thank you. So to give you a little bit more before we move in, for those of you who are looking to increase your level of engagement, I want to share, our journey and what our beliefs are so that you're available and ready. And for those that are already engaged and having coaching calls and being a part of the team, thank you for being here. And I know you'll learn a few things. Over this journey, we've worked with some of the best direct response marketers. We've worked with manufacturers. I've consulted with banking groups. I've consulted across many niches, including orthodontics, facial spa, med spas, a local estate attorney. So the concepts that we'll teach, and these 5 ways that practice owners or even small business owners sabotage their growth, cross the divide of not only audiology. The one thing I do want to share is who, Odd Experts is for and who Odd Experts is not for. And as I share that tonight, and as we move through this, I hope you'll look internally and decide, are you in? Are you not in? Do you believe the same way? Do you not? The one thing is that there is no magic pill. And so I applaud you for being here today, knowing that even on what some call a holiday or what some call the slow time of year, that you have to put in the work, you have to put in the energy. And we can do that in a smart and efficient way. Clients who have done what we've said in a coaching atmosphere, in a marketing atmosphere, will quickly double and triple their practice. And if you need those testimonials, they are on oddexperts.com, and you can access those anytime to see the growth. What I don't, what's the most frustrating, I think, for all of us is, those that, want to be half pregnant, who think that there's a magic pill, who thinks that there's a shiny object or a quick way to grow your practice. I'm in year 10. I've had to take step backwards to catapult forward. And that's just part of the journey. So understand that we're not here to tell you that there's 5 steps that will get you everything you want. There's 5 ways that people are sabotaging their practice, and it still requires the work and the energy to take part in that. For those of you that don't know, we do have 3 levels of coaching. We have Platinum coaching group, Platinum Plus coaching groups, and we do have a Titanium membership level as well. In addition, our team leaders, Morgan and others, have traveled across the country. We bring clients here to St. George to show off the practice and to teach your team and your team leaders to be great as well. And we have a few great surprises for 2021 coming up. I once again applaud you all for being here, and I think you're that group of people that is motivated, is willing to implement. And so I'm ready to get started with that. The one, overarching theme is the amount of time, energy, blood, sweat, tears, money that's been invested in these programs, these concepts that work across different professions. I often, take coaching calls from the country club or Mexico or a trip that I'm on. And the number one thing that everybody wants to ask is that they want to schedule some mailers, that they want new content, and what's working now. And I have to dive deeper when that's the question, because the answer will change depending on what your objective is. The answer will change depending on what type of practice you want to build. It's the number one question out there. I'm sure, a good portion of everybody on tonight wants to know, what new thing is Jared doing? And I really want to go back to the basics and share, it's not about the new thing. It's about, what are we doing consistently? What are we implementing consistently? What are we tracking consistently? So that's kind of where I wanted to start it. On a recent coaching call, I had to ask the practice owner that wanted that new shiny object, why are we doing this mailer? Are we looking for growth? Are we looking for new patients? I have to ask, what are we currently spending per new patient, per new lead, per new treatment? How much revenue do you have sitting in accounts receivable? How many upgrade eligible patients do you have? And what kind of hours are you willing to work to have the practice that you dream of? Is there anything else you'd like to share on tonight's call, Keith?
Well, I think that you've hit a great point, which is everybody wants the next shiny object, right? Manufacturers have trained us that every few years they're going to bring out another shiny object for us, and that's going to cure all of our woes. And then we realize that that's not really the answer. That the answer is building a system that engages the community, that engages your current patients, that allows you to build your trust and authority beyond any new shiny widget. So, when somebody says, oh, I just want more mail, that's like a patient coming in and just saying, oh, I don't really hear that great, but it's really not that big a deal. Well, no, you drove across town, you came to my clinic. Let's have a real conversation. And when somebody calls us for coaching and asks us and just says, I just need a new mailer, no, let's sit down and have a real conversation and let's understand your why. And then let's build a path. Let's come up with a treatment plan for your practice. So
I think that's exactly what our coaching plans, membership plans do. And that's exactly why I wanted to start this new year with these 5 ways that we all, myself included, have sabotaged our practice. So, it is distracting usually to be on a computer, to have your cell phone next to you. I highly suggest you take a minute, set those aside, grab a pen, a piece of paper, and get ready to take notes on these, topics that we're going to talk about. The first thing I'd really like everybody to define, and it's going to be one of the first questions that you'll hear from Morgan when you talk to him on a strategy call, is, are you happy with your business and your results? And then second, what do you really want out of your practice, your life, and the effort that you put in. And as you answer those, whether it's right this second or whether it's, after tonight when you're digesting the notes, I would ask that you remember that you can only do good for your family or do good in this world if you're doing well. And so as we go about bringing about the change in your practice you want, bringing about a better 2021 than you had this year, remember that if we put you and your practice first and we do the right things the right way, you will be able to have the philanthropy in your life. You will be able to contribute to your community, your church, your synagogue. You will be able to see the grandkids more often. You'll be able to do those things that you've always wanted and get out of your practice what you've always dreamt of. As we, move on, one of the core concepts that we talk about often is, do you actually know what's going on in your practice? And the way we do that, and the way if you engage with us, will be to secret shop your practice. That'll be incoming phones, your marketing system, the text, the emails, everything that happens from the time somebody raises their hand to ask for help and then moves through your patient journey. And we start with that analysis. Morgan does great in his fact finding. If you know much about Colby, he's a 9. He's the ultimate data specificity fact finding guru out there. Is if we don't know what's happening in your practice and the competitors' practices, how do we build the strategy for you to excel and to have the success that you want? So that's the number one step when we start to work together that we're going to focus on. There's 5 ways that we can create value. And oftentimes people say that we have a price problem or that we have, other issues going on in the practice. And really what everything comes down to is a value creation problem. So think about that for a moment. We all know you can get traditional hearing aids from a Costco and that they're low priced. But what we're trying to do is build you a system and a practice that's built upon value. I know Keith often shares the Cumberland Farms versus Starbucks, 99-cent coffee versus $7 coffee. And then there's hotels and there's Ritz-Carltons, right? So when you think about ways in your practice to make a difference, we're really focused on a system. Odd Experts is focused on a training mechanism to build value throughout that patient buying journey. A second way that will be through customer service and improving those touch points, making sure that the patient experience, like it was for my grandmother, is the same for your patients. Every touch point, every treatment, start to finish. And another great example, Keith, you come up with these great analogies, so feel free to throw in. But often with our clients or new clients, we see that one patient's treated differently than another. Do you want to talk about that for a moment?
Yes, and I will try to keep it short because many people on here probably heard it, which is, it's just the simple example of if my mother came to your practice on Monday and or called your practice on Monday and then called again on Tuesday, would she have the same experience on the phone? If she came to your practice on Wednesday and saw one of your providers and then came on Thursday and saw another provider, would the process be the same? Now, I understand autonomy. I understand the ability to develop the way you do things, but they must be part of a process. Like, does my mother get the same exact test done? Does she get recommended the same treatment, right? I mean, we've been to practices where every provider gets to pick whatever technology they like the best. And, they get to go through their process and, oh, we didn't have time to do quicksand. Well, then, you did not truly assess my mother's hearing loss and the impact it has on our cognitive function, right? So yeah, I really believe in a process that must be standardized with, of course, a little bit of personal creativity per provider or phones team.
I think that's a great story. So the 5 ways we'll talk about tonight: value creation, customer service, We're going to talk about circumventing search and what that means to your practice and for the people that are and are not looking for the services and the treatment that you do provide. We're going to talk about referrals in your practice, and we're going to talk about conversions and what that can mean to a practice and how that sabotages or holds us back. And, when I was talking with, my most recent prospect and prospects that call all the time, the number one, thing that comes up is, yes, Jared, this stuff is all amazing. Yes, I want to do it all. I'm ready to jump all in. The problem, Jared, is I don't want to do the work. And I think, what I want to tell every one of those phone calls is, well, then come work for me. Go work for somebody that does want to do that work. Because what you signed up for as a practice owner is to do the hard work, right? That's the reason that you make the money that you do and your team makes the money that they do. That's the reason that you chose to be an entrepreneur. Otherwise, you can have a great 9-to-5 job, 4 days a week with early off Fridays, be able to take your kids to school, pick them up from school, and live that type of lifestyle as a great employee. So keep that in mind. It's the number one, kind of comment that I get is, yes, I want it, but I'm not sure that I want to do the work for it. If you increase your level of engagement with us, we're here for that. Morgan has a lot of calls with team members, holds a lot of people accountable. We track numbers. We'll help you do that heavy lifting. But at the end of the day, that's what it's going to take. It's not a new shiny marketing piece. It's not a new, shiny tool. It's consistent day in, day out repetition and hard work. So I'm excited to jump into the value creation piece. The 4 P's that I want to talk about in this value creation piece are place, process, price, and people. And the reason that these become so important to the overall marketing approach, the overall strategic practice approach, is that people do judge a book by its cover. And if you're going to be the Ritz-Carlton, if you're going to be the Disney, if you're going to be the leader in treatment in your market, the ultimate empathetic authority, you have to have a place that matches that. Your internal marketing and your external marketing must match. It doesn't mean you have to be the Ritz or you have to be the low end. There's not a right or a wrong. I've helped clients that want to have a high volume, low cost approach. I've also helped clients that only want to do premium treatments and they're the Ritz-Carlton approach, but they have to match internally and externally. Does your place match what you say about yourself and you say to your prospects? That's an internal question that I think everybody can ask. Does it smell the way you want it to smell? Does it look the way you want it to work? To look, sorry. What we're trying to do in 2021 is we're going to pump different scents into different parts of our office. The waiting room will be a different scent than the treatment room, than the exit desk, than the testing booth. Scent plays a big part in how people feel, how people buy, how people think. Is your pricing in line with your office appearance? There's a reason that Costco can be the lowest. Their model works. I'm not sure that that would work for somebody trying to garner $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 for your 4-year treatment plan. Do you make people wait? I think what we learned more than anything during COVID this year was that we could change our model. We could get some paperwork out of the way. We could have better conversations on the phone, and we could put people into the treatment room upon arrival rather than waiting in a waiting room with other people. So when you think about value creation, think about the place that you're working from. Think about the posters on your wall, the way it looks, the way it smells, the way that they're greeted. The process is very important as well. And this is probably one of my favorite places and definitely what we did in fourth quarter. For those of you that saw my emails about my Dropbox vault, I took my lifetime of work, put it on a hard drive, shipped it out to those that wanted it. What we did in fourth quarter, I hired a full-time dedicated person, a Colby follow-through, Blue Bar, to type up detailed, step by step, word by word, phrase by phrase, every process in our practice so that it can be repeated, so that every grandmother like mine gets the same experience from different team members across the 6 locations from Massachusetts to Southern Utah. That's in that Dropbox vault, that hard drive. Do you have that? Is everybody, to Keith's point earlier, treated the same? Is the process the same? Is the treatment the same? Is the experience the same? Is your referral process in place? Do you have 60% of your new patients coming from current patients? Do you actively turn every new patient into 2 new patients? And if you don't have that documented, how can you expect a consistent result? It's a number one, it was my number one complaint. How come I have good months and how come I have bad months? Because some months they follow the process and some months they don't. And the way that we manage this is we listen to phone calls, we watch game footage, we call it video. We know what's happening. And for those that say that's not legal in my state, it is, right? All the big retail stores have secret shoppers. All professional athletes, musicians, listen to their recordings, watch their game footage, watch their plays. Are we working at it? Do we have a process where it happens every week? Are we listening to phone calls every week? Are we watching film every month? This is what Morgan does on a daily basis, what our trainers work on a daily basis. They're watching film, they're having conversations with your team leaders, they're helping put into place a strategy and the training necessary so that your good months are every month. And if it's not going to be a good month, we catch it early enough that we can adjust and change course. It's nothing worse than going 3 months or a year to find out, hey, it wasn't very good. The third area is price. Of course, price is important, but value is more important. And so does the price and the value match? Do you charge a high price but provide a low value? And how do you differentiate those two things? We've found ways to build membership levels for our patients in our treatment plans. We've found ways to include ongoing oral rehabilitation. We've found ways to include early access to events, early access to Dr. Darrow's book, a signed copy. We've found ways to increase value by increasing treatment coverage. We've found ways to increase value so that we can justify our treatment plans, so that we can differentiate and be different. And so when you look at your pricing, once again, while not consistent in many practices, how do we look at that? How do we judge that? The fourth area is people. And I think Morgan's probably, as Keith pointed out, patience isn't necessarily my top virtue. And so people is the struggle. You have to be able to communicate with your people, good times and bad times, set expectations, hire and fire based upon core values. And I know Morgan, our Colby certified trainer, has a lot of conversations. There's a great testimonial by Dr. Cardano on the website of building teams of rock stars and building teams of great role players that can help you achieve that vision that you want. It's never more frustrating than to be the owner who's spending 60 or 80 hours a week stressing, not sleeping, and then have a team that doesn't understand your vision. Oftentimes because we haven't shared it properly, or we've only yelled when things weren't good. But by implementing our systems, by having our trainers visit your practice, by deploying and holding people accountable, you will be amazed at how quick the traction actually comes about and how quickly your team leaders are helping you build the practice you dreamt of, and it isn't all on your shoulders. So those are 4 areas that we like to focus on to build the practice that you've always dreamt of. Is there anything on those, Keith, that pops to your mind or that you'd like to cover?
So, you know how I feel, which is the value provided in the medical treatment of hearing loss is it's invaluable. I mean, it's hard to even put a value on it because you are literally creating a miracle. You are taking a person who cannot hear and you are allowing them to not only re-engage with their family and their community, but the significant health benefits, reducing the risk of falling, keeping people out of hospitals, out of institutions, reducing their risk of cognitive decline. It's impossible to put a value on these things. The reason why people are shying away or patients are reluctant to invest in their hearing healthcare is because they don't understand the value. Because when they do understand the value, price is no longer an objection. And I'll tell the very quick version, but when my daughter had a significant medical issue that was going to cost me a significant sum of money, it never crossed my mind to ask, what is this going to cost? Because it didn't matter. I was going to find a way because the value was so high and it was so important that it was never a question. And I think because we've got teams of people who understand the value and we help patients understand the value, that's how we're able to get to a real treatment rate of about 85%. And when I say real, I mean we're not cutting corners, we're not discounting people who, are near normal. We're not playing any games. We're talking about if 100 people come into our practice seeking our help, that 85 of them are going to walk out and they are going to invest in the medical treatment of hearing loss. So, and yes, because we've worked so hard on these 4 Ps, on getting the right place, the right processes, the right price, and the right people, that's how we've been able to be so successful.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I definitely, agree. And I've heard your story of May before. Um, you know, the other component when we talk about building people and building value is customer service. And we've learned so much from our sessions and certifications with the Disney Institute, with the Ritz-Carlton Leadership Center, with some of the best thought leaders in customer service. And it really, in our practice, comes down to core values. And I have this with every new employee during Mindset Training Week, so that they understand, regardless of the problem, the complaint, the issue, the patient issue, how do we solve this? And for me, it's core values. And in our system, in our trainer system, in what we share, it's core values. And I don't mean the core values like integrity or the core values like trust. I consider those things to be needed in every human being. So to me, that's not a fluffy keyword or a concept, but a core value that helps your team solve problems, even when the boss is away. And I
Jared,
know.
can I give an example here?
Sure.
Because I've traveled and and sorry you didn't call on me, but I just feel like I have to jump in on this one because I've traveled the country and met with countless number of practices. And when I ask them their core value, one of the most common answers is we treat patients like family. That's not a core value. That is just supposed to be, you only hire people who have that in their brain, who have that in their soul. That's not what a core value is. Like we treat every patient, or it's not about you, right? These are definable core values that help our teams make decisions every day. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I love it. It's a great story, and Keith, you're on the other side of the country throughout this year, but Morgan and I have been replacing members of my team, training new members of my team, and I kind of look like, think of it like we took a year or two pause on our rapid growth and ascent to put into place these important characteristics, because I, like many of you, realized I was going to plateau. I wasn't going to be able to get that next big jump in growth, in legacy, in the life that I wanted, because I didn't have the proper systems, the proper people. I had great salespeople, right, that had the wrong heart, that were all about money. But now I'm finding people, My current best treatment coordinator, right, was working at an Outback in an overperforming in a low end job for her. And now, because she has the right heart, the right system, the right training, the right core values, she now knows how to treat 2+ patients a day by herself, right? So core values to me are tools that we give to a team that can then solve any problem situation before them without sending an email to me or a text to me or interrupting my day or waiting for my response. These are ways and tools that they can help me 2x, 5x, 10x my practice and the practices of each and every one of you. Core values are, the foundation of what we're building this next big jump on. And so I ask you all to look at your core values. Are they rules that your team can live by? Are they decision-making points that you can take the next jump with? Other elements of customer service are your hours, your phones, and then how you have oversight. So, oftentimes in audiology, we find practices that are open part-time or part-time offices or aren't open at the times that people want them for treatment. And so I ask, are you answering your phones? The customer service data says, are you answering your phones between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. every day? Do you know how many of those phone calls are missed? And so take a look at your missed call rate. Take a look at the data and see if you're providing those hours that are accessible for your patients. Phones are probably the number one thing that I hear from coaching clients. My phones team needs help. We need training on the phones. And even when those clients say, I want new marketing, I want something new, I first want to say, show me the numbers. Are you missing calls? Are you unconverting those leads that we give you? It makes no sense for us to spend $1 million on marketing or $300,000 on marketing. It makes no sense to run a new marketing campaign or a new marketing piece if the team's not answering and converting those phone calls. And I can often double a practice simply by training the phones team or hiring a new phones team. So when you come to me and say, I want a new marketing piece, I'm going to ask the tough questions. I'm going to ask you to dive deep and say, is that really what you need to grow your practice? Do you need to spend more money, run more marketing, hire more people? Or do we need the customer service that's required to build the value that's necessary to treat people the right way, to build your legacy, and to live the practice that you want?
Hey,
Oversight.
Jared. Jared, I just want to tell a funny story because this was something that happened with you and I several years ago. When you and I first met, I had told you about I ran a special flyer in the Saturday edition of my local newspaper, and it was awesome in my opinion. And I know it was awesome because I checked the call log of the amount of people that called on Saturday and Sunday, but you pointed out that I didn't have anybody to answer the phones, and so I lost all of them. Like, there's just a perfect example of making sure that your hours align and knowing when people are going to call, and having that, you know, we've done the work, we've studied, we know that people call 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock on Saturday night. I'm sorry, Friday night, they call Saturday morning. So I'm not saying you have to be in your office 24/7, but you have to be accessible, whether that be an answering service or somebody on call. But you have to know those numbers at a minimum, right? Like, it's okay if you run the numbers and nobody calls you on Saturday, then you don't have to be there for the phone call, but know your numbers first.
Yeah, and oversight, measuring meticulously. Our team leaders have reports that they have to do, daily, weekly, sometimes half daily. Do we know that Mondays are the best day for treatment or Thursday afternoons are the best day? So definitely when you hop on the phone and engage with us in a coaching role, or if you're asking for, certain advice, not only do we have the files and the documents to share, but really, are we going to look at numbers? Do you want to dive into the number and make a better practice with higher customer service, higher value through oversight? So measure meticulously. That's going to be my number one recommendation there in that customer service realm. Do you have and share with your team your service steps, what your expectations are? It often comes down to, we believe we've shared with our team leaders, but have we, and do we have a culture that reinforces them? Do we hire and fire based upon them? Do we train and recalibrate based upon them? So as you're working with our trainers, as you're working with Morgan, the strategist, we're going to say, do these things, are they in place? Because it's not sustainable just to spend more money and just to run more marketing. We have to build a strong foundation. Another area that I really want to talk about that we often sabotage in marketing is that we don't believe we can circumvent search. And what I mean by that in the digital marketing realm is that there's only 25% of people who need your service or treatment looking for it at any given time. So being number one on Google might sound amazing, but only 25% of the people in need of those 42 million that need to be treated are searching at any given time. So there's a bigger opportunity, there's a bigger blue ocean to believe that we can go out and, interrupt the other 75% of people who need our help, who haven't even thought about the process yet. And so you look at, companies, you look at companies like Google. If Google believed that digital marketing was the only way to get in front of people, why are they running billboards? Why are they running TV advertisements and radio advertisements? So digital is great, and Jimmy Marketing helps my practice, to the tune of 2 to 3 treatments a day from digital marketing. But I'm not doing only search engine optimization. I'm not only trying to be ranked number one. We're running ads. We're running, retargeting ads from people that visited the website onto their Hulu and Netflix subscriptions. We're taking the data we're finding online and using that on radio, on TV, on direct mail. So being omnipresent, even as a digital company or a Netflix that's streaming video, they're on billboards, they're running newspaper ads. Apple, Microsoft, all of these companies realize in order to get your message out there, you have to be omnipresent. You have to circumvent the search. You have to be out in a blue ocean. And if you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it. You have to find those 75% of people, 75% of 42 million that need your service. And they're not all on Google searching. So be omnipresent in that marketing. Invest wisely, invest in all those media so that you are finding people at the right time. Is there anything on that, Keith? I mean, what we've done with Dr. Darrow, what I've tried to do for the last 3 years with the publication of the book, with the YouTube channel, with the Facebook, with the live symposiums, is be omnipresent with that trusted authority. I mean, maybe you can share quickly, Keith, about the journey, that you never imagined as a small one office, practice owner, and kind of what we did and how we 10x that with you.
Well, I have to say, I'd always understood the sense of being omnipresent, but I have my own biases get in my way, right? For example, before I met you, I wasn't really doing a lot of digital because I had that naive thought of my customer base is not online. And you prove me wrong every day. I mean, I believe at this point. I remember the night you sent me a screenshot of a 82-year-old woman who opted in for a copy of my book on Facebook at like 3 in the morning. Right, that really sort of sealed the deal for me. But you helped to sort of say, okay, we have to create a message. We have to create a message and we have to spread that out. We have to spread the wealth of this information about the medical treatment of hearing loss. And it has to be in book form. It has to be in newspaper. It has to be on radio. It has to be on TV, right? I mean, I have my own TV show for a few years. So what you've been able to do was take a small practice for which I was struggling, and to help me 10x it, and now to really see us combine, merge together, and become the highest rated hearing healthcare practice in the country, because of all of our efforts, has really been a tremendous ride. And what's fun now, because teaching has always been a passion of mine, is to be able to teach other practices and to see them exponentially grow. That has been one of the most fulfilling things, providing them with the tools of teaching them about digital marketing, helping them set up great finance programs for their patients using TreatmentFi, helping them to co-author the book, right? To be able to touch millions of lives the way that we have through our clients has been, one of the most enriching things that I've ever been involved with. And I look forward to, I see a bunch of new names on here tonight. I look forward to engaging with them soon, and seeing if there's anything that we can do for them and help them join the ride.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I mean, people often ask, Jared, why do you do it? I mean, I could easily sit back and have my great practices, and enjoy the ride, but I do believe that, we're in the same place, that it's our commitment to give back, to help others have that same journey. I know you specifically want to treat more of the 42 million and connect with the story like you have with your grandmother. And so it's a great synergy there. The fourth area that people often sabotage their practice is in referrals. And if you don't have a practice that is 60% of your new patients coming referrals, there's room to grow. So write that one down. If you don't have 60% of your new patients coming from referral, you have room to grow. You have to find a way to turn every patient into two patient. And I'm not talking about those referral programs that's, refer a friend and get a $5 Starbucks card, refer a friend and get a free pack of batteries. You have to give them the experience. You have to build the value to welcome them big. You have to sponsor the senior softball league. You have to sponsor the symphony. You have to be a part of the community and give your patients a reason to talk about you. When our patients have the opportunity to invite another couple that's 55 to 72 years old to the symphony and say, the reason I can invite you to the symphony for free is because my audiologist gave me tickets, that's a conversation starter. That's a way that people talk about you and you get free marketing. You get word of mouth marketing. How often can somebody say, I'm taking you to Hawaii, I'm taking you on a cruise, I'm cooking steaks on this barbecue that I want at my audiologist or my hearing specialist. So when you're looking for an area in your practice or a pocket of profitability for your practice, it's to get your patients to refer their friends and family, right? Imagine what you could do statistically, if you know the numbers of your patients, if you just got the spouses to be treated. No extra marketing, one extra question on your phone script. Mr. Jones, did you realize that it's a recommendation of, right? And then just have that one statement in your phone script. You would instantly grow your practice. So if you're not maximizing those referrals, you should. We have a great VIP program. It includes all your office posters, handout cards, business cards. We have staff business cards where we incentivize the staff to refer one patient every month and earn an extra bonus. Imagine if each one of your staff members, for those of your larger practices or even smaller practices, if each one of your staff members referred somebody outside of their office hours to your practice. Referrals are something you can celebrate with your team. You can build a system around it. You can automate it. You can have your team leaders take part in it. They can earn more. You can treat more patients. It's better for everybody. The average person knows about 50 other people. That's how many people show up to a wedding. That's how many people you know from your church group. So imagine if every patient just referred one. Imagine if they referred two. If you don't have 60% referrals, there's room to grow. You should reach out, talk to Morgan. We can work through that process for you. The fifth slide is probably another one of those hot buttons on conversion. And I don't just mean your sales rate or your conversion rate in the treatment room, which our profession can't even define consistently. I'm talking about from the time somebody raises their hand and wants to read your free white paper or requests a copy of your book, visits your website. How many of those people do you convert all the way through the treatment process? What we see in most practices, we run a great marketing piece. We don't answer the phones like Keith mentioned on a Saturday. Then we convert half of the ones that show up. 25% of the remaining ones we say had near normal hearing loss or near normal hearing, so we're not going to count them. We fool ourselves by saying we have an 85% conversion rate. We're doing everything absolutely positively perfectly. We just need more people to raise their hand. We need more leads, need more calls. But when you look at the data and you dive deep, I have Morgan do this, I have my team leaders do this, when they're filling out reports and holding themselves accountable, you realize that your conversion rate is very low. For the people that are seeking your help and seeking information, we're not at 80%. We're closer to 20% of those that raise their hand. And we wonder why, as I think the profession is at 17%, Keith, is that the right conversion number?
That is right. That 42 million number stems from the fact that 50 million people in our country suffer with hearing loss, and we only treat 8 million of them. So we got a lot of work to do. And given that with over the counter and more options coming out, it's our time to shine. All ships will rise. You just got to be ready for it.
Yeah, and I think the one thing to focus on here is why do people buy and how do you increase conversion rate, right? It's the systems we've deployed, the transcripts, the phone scripting, the training, the recalibration. It's holding your team accountable. But more than that, what are buyers looking for? What are your patients looking for? They're looking for the removal of risk. And when you think about why have we been so successful? We have a 100% treatment guarantee. If we can't treat you properly, if you're unsatisfied with your treatment, no questions asked, you can come back to us and we'll either make it right or we'll part as friends. We're not trying to hook them for a deposit on their hearing aids. We're trying to treat their condition. And if we cannot treat their condition to their satisfaction, there is no risk to them. And that's much different than a free trial. And that's a whole nother story. But we have to remove the risk for those patients and we have to build a relationship. If this is a transactional deal, if this is about you give me money, I give you product, I give you widget, you cannot build enough value. You cannot increase your conversion rate. It's transactional. So we build relationships so that people will buy from those that they know, like, and trust. We do that through stories. We do that through your authority. We do that through your empathy. We do that through an automated nurture program. We do that by giving them consistent results, by removing risk. We do that by making you an apple in a sea of oranges. You have to stand out and be different. That's how we'll build the value. That's how we'll grow your practice. And that's how you avoid sabotaging your own practice when comparing to others. And Keith, I mean, I know you're not a marketer by trade, but what was that like for you to see what I did with you coming in? I mean, I spoke to a stage of 1,500 practice owners in Savannah, Georgia, and then I spoke to a business group you were in, and that's when we met. But what was that like to go from somebody peddling a manufacturer's widgets to somebody that we built up as an authority, and we've done it time and time again for practice owner?
I mean, it's really two simple words: life-changing. Um, I was never the type of person to sort of tell my own story. I was never the type of person to talk about what happened to my grandmother and losing her with dementia. I never talked about May's story. I never talked about any of my accomplishments in my own career, from publishing in some of the highest rated medical journals on the planet. And you really helped me to find my voice. You helped me to take my passions and my experiences in life and in education and in patient care and express that. And it changed everything. It changed every conversation with patients. I used to kind of joke that, you know, I don't even talk about price with patients because that's not That's not what we're doing. We're not having a price conversation. We're having a conversation about a significant medical um, disorder and how to develop a treatment plan. And so it's been, life changing.
Fantastic. And these concepts, like I said, we've spent a lot of money in coaches, consultants, in like I said, Disney and Ritz. These concepts come from, and whether we agree or not, right? Hearing healthcare is considered elective services. I know that makes you cringe, Keith, but it is the
Hate it.
fact. It is the fact. So when we look at these concepts, we're looking at, places of luxury vacations, automotive sales. We're looking at concepts that come from building value, that come from differentiation, that come from building relationships. And that was why in the last 2 years, we went to treatment plans rather than buying hearing aids. And the building of treatment plans and membership options give people an opportunity to be part of your movement, to be part of something, and they have a greater buy-in. They leave more video testimonials, they refer more friends, they leave better reviews. It's better for your practice overall. And it's how we've increased conversion rate in addition to the systems, the value, the process.
Hey,
Once,
Jared, I don't know if you've said the number yet, but for those of you that are out there, and I know there's a lot on this webinar, insurance patients refer 400 times less than private pay patients. That is sort of universal data.
who found you based upon your authority? Yep.
Right.
It's a fantastic, and just another quote I need everybody to write down in your notes is that price is only the reason somebody, does business with you in the absence of authority or differentiation. So when you have a price customer in front of you, or you say my market is full of price customers or decision makers, it's because they haven't sensed, seen, or felt authority or differentiation. You've become that commodity and they can't differentiate that. So as long as we find a way to overcome risk removal, build a lifetime guarantee, have the customer service, build the value proposition, we can increase conversion. We can avoid that self-sabotage as practice owners. To share, those are the 5. To share one little nugget with you, which is something big coming out that I'm working on, it has to do with these treatment plans, and it has to do with your collection rate, your renewal rate. And what we're finding is that you can collect from every patient. So we have a new program where finances, credit score are no longer a problem. I can now unequivocally say that every patient that walks into my office can be treated. I can monetize it, and I can make it a win-win both for the patient and the practice. And that's something that I know, Keith, you've been working on for a long time. But what it does for my team and what it does for my core values and what it does for that system is allows us to make yet again a big, bold, differentiated promise to our market and to our patients. So just wanted to say thank you on that one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the new treatment by everybody approved, the fact that 100% of patients are approved, 100% of patients are eligible for treatment. It just, I see already the change in our providers' mindset of this isn't going to be an argument. This isn't going to be a debate. This is going to be a yes, we can help you. I don't care if you went bankrupt or have been through 4 divorces, because we don't have to have those discussions anymore. We have simplified plans that help every single patient. And I think a lot of people out there know this, we only do it with premium technology. And so we help our patients hear their best, live their best, refer more patients. It's just one of those huge, weights off of our shoulders. And for those of you that are wondering, this is additional incremental revenue. So stay at the same revenue you're at. Now you're just adding a bunch more. So this does not replace any other revenue. This is additional revenue that you would have otherwise lost. It's amazing.
Thanks, Keith. I wanted to take just a few more minutes here. I know we're running up on that hour. Give you some chance. If you have questions, feel free to submit those, and I'll knock those out here in a moment. But we talk about KPIs a lot as practice owners, but oftentimes we're looking at KPIs that are lagging indicators, meaning the damage has already been done. And so I want you all to take these 6 KPIs. They're going to be 6 KPIs that we talk about on coaching calls. They're going to be 6 KPIs that we really focus on that are more leading indicators, knowing the trajectory where we're on or not on. And that's revenue per employee or team member. How much revenue are you bringing in? Most practices are somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 to 200,000 per employee. Some of the greatest companies out there, if you look at, I ask you all to go Google's revenue per employee, you'll be astonished. But what we like for our coaching clients is revenue per employee of around 400 to 500,000 per employee. So if you're looking at hiring, if you're looking at productivity, look at revenue per employee. Another number to take down is revenue per new patient. And I don't mean every new patient that starts treatment. I mean every patient that interacts with your office. You have to count every new phone call, every new lead request, every new appointment request. You have to count how much revenue are you making for every person that raises their hand and says, I want more information. You'll be astonished at how low this number really is. And if we focus on bringing that number up, we will grow treatments, we will grow revenue, we will grow our practice and live the legacy and the life that we want. Look at your revenue per chair hour, per office, per provider. Look at how much production you're getting out of your team. Conversion rates across the board, from conversion of leads, conversion of appointment requests, conversion of the phones team, conversion of your treatment team. The acquisition cost to get somebody to raise their hand in any way, shape, or form. How much are we truly spending? Not just to get a yes, but how much are we spending to educate the community? And then your referral rate. What's your staff referral rate? What's your patient referral rate? What's your physician referral rate? Referrals are huge. So just to give everybody a recap on your notes, and then I'll be ready for questions that you have. We're looking at the 5 ways most practices can sabotage themselves, and it's by not having proper value. And that's value in place, price, process, and people. We're looking at customer service and shortfalls in core values, shortfalls in our hours of operation, shortfalls on our phones team and with lack of oversight. Another area that we often self-sabotage is the circumvention of search. We have to be omnipresent. We can't rely only on direct mail, only on digital. We actually have some good data coming out right now about how much more effective our direct mail is, while there's also radio running at the same time. Circumventing search, interrupting that 75% of the market in need of our treatment and service who is not actively looking. That's where our greatest growth in Blue Ocean strategy is coming from. How we're going to convert that 75%. The 4th area that we often self-sabotage is in referrals, and that we're not turning every one of our patients into 2 new patients. We're not holding enough or sponsoring enough live events, big conversation starters. Think about when Apple launches a phone. People line up around the building, they talk about it for days, they pre-order. Are we doing that? There's a major manufacturer right now getting ready to launch a product. Have you already told your patients about it? Have you already explained to them that they're going to be able to reduce their listening effort by 43% or more? Have you already set the stage that their treatment prescription is falling short and it's time for treatment, new treatment prescription? That 5th area is conversion and differentiation, becoming an apple in a sea of oranges. Do we stand out? Are we the go-to authority? Are we the highest rated in America? Do we have the most video testimonials? Do we have the most Google reviews? I can say yes to all of those. We made a concerted effort over the last 3 years to be able to make those claims. It just so happened I trademarked Keith's name and took over his identity so that I could have yet another point of differentiation. These are just five areas that I myself fell short, 5 areas that our coaching clients fall short, 5 areas that many people who read our weekend update, our weekly facts, our loud and clear marketing program, even our coaching clients struggle with and need help with. I want to tell you, for those that are interested, those that made it through, those that want to have a better 2021 than they had a 2020, that want a different legacy, a different lifestyle. If you're looking to work with us on those membership plans of Platinum, Platinum Plus, and Titanium, what you end up getting is 3 masterminds a year. You get 7 days with Jared, Keith, Morgan, our top trainers, team leaders, 3 different masterminds. The middle one of the year, the 3rd day, we're going to do something special. We've recorded videos for our clients. We've helped with radio ads and TV ads, something that you might not be able to invest in yourself, but when we pool it and we bring all of our clients and coaching members to one location, we can do that. Our next trip is in Tahoe. Our next mastermind is Tahoe, March. Morgan has the date, 2nd week, I believe. You also get a monthly marketing call where we talk all things marketing, share marketing ideas. I give you my proven pieces. I'm there to answer questions. We have a treatment call with Dr. Darrow, the neuroscientist, the researcher, first person to stimulate the auditory cortex with light. Answer your questions about tinnitus, answer your provider's questions, how to overcome objections, how to talk science and build value. We have accountability calls once a month to make sure that you're putting one foot in front of the next, make sure that you're hitting your quarterly and yearly goals, make sure that you truly do get out of the year what you want. I'm so proud of our clients. What I saw during COVID, what I saw during 2020 was many of our clients still had banner years, still grew 14% to 52%. They overcame. It took more effort. They fought through, but they didn't let it close their doors. They didn't run for the hills. So congratulations to all of you. We have open office hours. It's new. We added, we're going to be here every Friday to answer your questions, hold your team accountable, and be there in any way that you need. You end up with 7 days of my time, 7 days with Keith and Morgan, 84 hours a month, a year, 7 hours a month, 84 hours a year of coaching and support. We have trainers that can be dispatched to you. We have online training programs that are available. We're looking for 5 new members into our program. And to incentivize that today, what I'm willing to do is give you access to a 10-day phones training, because it's the #1 way to boost your practice. It's the #1 way to improve your conversions. It's the #1 way to quickly double what you're doing in your office. So for the first 5 people that want to join our membership, that want to increase their level of engagement with us at Odd Experts, today's deposit's $21.87. You'll start with a phone call with Morgan. We'll dive into your practice. First 5 people, you can get a 10-day phones training, or you can get a half day with me. Morgan can give you the travel schedule. I'm going to be in Mexico in January. I'm going to be in Arizona in February, Tahoe in March, New York, Boston. I have practices back east. So you'll find a time and a place that works for you. Get a half day with me. We can talk about your next acquisition. We can talk about your exit plan or your marketing strategy for the year. I think that's about it. I'd love to have you supply your name, your practice name, the zip codes of any offices that you have, so that Morgan can do some research on your market. You can take a picture of that. You can email it. You can text it. That deposit, of course, will be based upon the fact that we don't currently have a client in your market, because everything that we're doing with our membership is market exclusive. You don't have to worry about the practice down the street doing the same thing that you do, knowing the same strategies, having the same symposiums or access. So I look forward to seeing some new members, and those that have been reading our writings, those 1,109 countries. Looking forward to having you. We have some questions out there, Morgan.
Yeah, you should have you got 3 or 4 of them in that panelist section right there.
Yeah, let's see. How do you get so many patient referrals? What's the key? So it's a system, right? I'd actually turn the question back around and say, what is your current system? Show me the footage. Are you asking every patient for a referral? Are you rewarding them properly? Do you say thank you? Oftentimes, patients don't know that you're actually taking new patients. They don't know that you're looking for help getting more patients. Our VIP program includes opportunities for anywhere from a $200 thank you gift card all the way up to a beach vacation. It includes live events at the country club and dinner. It includes tickets to the symphony. What we want is members of our membership. We want them to be part of our group and part of our practice. They wear our shirts when they pick up their clean and check, their batteries, right? They walk in with a shirt, they get a prize, they get a bonus. They get invited to events that nobody else is inviting them to. What this community, what this demographic wants is to be part of something, to be relevant again. And we give them an opportunity to talk about their audiologist, their hearing